Everyone knows ancient Egypt as a land of pyramids and pharaohs, gods and gold. But almost nobody asks what happened after the sun went down. What did an ordinary Egyptian do at 3 in the morning, wide awake, staring into the dark, unable to sleep? And the answer may be far stranger and far older than you'd expect. Imagine lying on a woven reed mat inside a mud brick house on the edge of the Nile. The air is thick and warm. Somewhere outside, a dog barks, then goes quiet. Your family sleeps beside you, but you don't. Your mind won't settle. In a world without electricity, without clocks, without a single artificial light for miles, being awake in the dead of night wasn't just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. Because to the ancient Egyptian mind, night wasn't empty, it was alive. To understand that, you have to understand how they saw darkness itself. Each night, they believed, the sun god, Ra, sailed his boat through the underworld, battling chaos just to rise again by morning. If the sun itself had to fight for its life in the dark, what did that mean for a mortal lying awake, exposed, unprotected? The real question isn't why they struggled to sleep. It's what they thought was struggling alongside them. Restless nights were often blamed on something outside the body entirely. Demons, wandering spirits, the unsettled dead. Insomnia wasn't just a personal problem. It was spiritual trespassing, a sign that something from the other side had slipped through. So what did they do about it? Here's where it gets strange. They didn't just wait for sleep to return. They fought for it. Egyptians reached for magic before medicine. Spells were recited at bedtime, some of them thousands of years old by the time they were finally written down. These weren't vague prayers, they were precise verbal weapons, meant to be spoken exactly right, aimed at named threats lurking in the dark. Get the words wrong, and the protection might fail, but words alone weren't enough. Objects mattered too. Many households kept small carved figures near where they slept, protective symbols meant to stand guard through the night. Amulets were worn to bed, not just around the neck, but sometimes tucked beneath the head itself, as if sleep needed a bodyguard. And this is where things get weird. Some people didn't just wear protection, they shaped their sleeping space around it, turning an ordinary bed into something closer to a fortress against the unseen, which raises another mystery. If demons were the enemy, why did some Egyptians sleep on headrests instead of soft pillows, curved wooden or stone supports, cold and hard beneath the neck? Don't sound comforting at all, but comfort wasn't the point. Some researchers believe the headrest kept the head elevated off the ground, away from insects, scorpions, and the general filth of a mud brick floor. Practical, sensible, except that's not the whole story. Because headrests weren't only found beside beds, they were found in tombs, buried with the dead, sometimes carved with images of protective gods, as if the object itself was expected to keep working long after the sleeper had died. That single detail rewrites everything. This wasn't just furniture. Sleep and death were being treated as the same doorway, and that changes the question entirely. Maybe insomnia wasn't feared simply because it was uncomfortable. Maybe it was feared because staying awake too long, alone in the dark, felt like standing too close to that doorway without permission to walk through. So, if magic was the first defense, what came next? The first real explanation lies in medicine. Or what passed for it. Egyptian physicians, some of the earliest in recorded history, tried herbal remedies for restlessness, plant extracts, specific preparations, ingredients believed to calm the body and quiet the mind. This wasn't guesswork alone. Egyptian medical texts show careful observation, trial, and repetition, an early form of trying to understand the body through pattern rather than pure superstition. But the twist is this: medicine and magic weren't separate categories to them. A remedy could be swallowed and spoken over in the same breath. The line between science and spell simply didn't exist the way it does for us now. Researchers studying Egyptian sleep practices discovered something else unexpected too. Sleep wasn't always meant to be private. In some households, sleeping close together, huddled in shared spaces, may have offered its own kind of protection, not just warmth against the cold Nile nights, but safety in numbers, human and otherwise. Being surrounded by familiar breathing in the dark may have felt like its own kind of spell. And here's another curiosity loop worth chasing. Some Egyptians turned to dreams themselves for answers about their sleeplessness. Dreams weren't dismissed as random noise. They were treated as messages, sometimes from the gods, sometimes as warnings. If you couldn't sleep, it might mean a message was trying to reach you and being ignored. Suddenly, insomnia wasn't just a nuisance. It was almost an invitation, which loops back to the very first mystery. Maybe the ancient Egyptians weren't just afraid of the dark itself. They were afraid of what silence might be trying to tell them. Every time you lie awake tonight, phone glowing in your hand, mind racing over tomorrow's problems, you are living out a version of something people have done for thousands of years. The tools have changed. Spells have become sleep apps. Amulets have become supplements. Guardian carvings have become nightlights left on in hallways. But the feeling underneath it hasn't changed at all. That strange, uneasy sensation of being awake when the rest of the world sleeps. the sense that darkness holds something just outside your understanding. The ancient Egyptians didn't have blue light or blackout curtains. What they had was ritual, belief, and each other. And in their own way, using the tools their world gave them, they were doing exactly what we're still doing now, trying to make peace with the dark long enough to finally close their eyes.